What shall we talk over this morning?
We had a very deep investigation into death and meditation yesterday. And the other day, into awareness. So if we could go on, that is there an awareness of truth? Whether that exists beyond the word, and if it does, can this awareness happen here?
Yes, yes.
Sir, could we talk about a reaction and the effect on personal growth, catharsis and the effect on personal growth, the process such as the experience...
Attachment and?
Sir?
I couldn't hear, sir.
Could we talk on a reaction and the effect on personal growth, on experiences such as the process you experienced in August 20, 1922, and the development for personal growth?
I'm not quite clear of that question, or somebody...
A reaction?
Reaction?
A reaction to the effect, in essence, is the effect of the process of what you experienced on August 20, 1922, and the effect of such experiences on the personal development.
Sorry. What language do you speak, sir?
Italiano.
Italiano, dica in italiano.
L'effetto della abreazione, il rivivere avvenimenti del passato e che sono abbastanza in assonanza con la sua esperienza che ha avuto il 20 agosto 1922, come è stata descritta.
Ho capito, sì.
Sir, is thought employed to realize this radical transformation? And can we know anything which is not in the field of thought, including this awareness? If we employ thought through investigation and through inquiry, then is that process going to promote this change where this dimension that we speak of in which there is no movement of thought?
Why has thought become such a deeply rooted habit?
No,
Why
that's not what I'm
thought-
asking. That is not what I'm asking.
That's what I'm asking.
Oh. I want to know,
Would you make your question short?
okay, is thought used, is thought employed to realize, to bring about, to comprehend this radical transformation?
What? I'm afraid I haven't understood. Would you speak louder?
I don't know how to make it clearer. I'm asking if it is thought that does the investigation, that does the inquiring.
I see. Does thought, is it thought that inquires? Is it thought that observes? Is it thought that explores?
Yes,
Yeah.
and does that process of that bring about this transformation?
Does that process bring about change, transformation?
Change, right.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, I'm sorry to repeat the question again. The other day you were kind enough to explain to me, but I have confused it. How can thought see its movement?
How can thought see its own movement? Right, sir?
Please, sir. In the Western tradition, there has been a question that all philosophers and thinkers have wrote about and thought deeply about, and that is, what is man's place in nature? Now, in regard to what you've talked about, in the total awareness where there is love, silence, and total space, what is nature and what is man's place in nature? Thank you.
What is nature? I can't make up. Sir. Would you repeat it slowly, sir?
Yes.
Don't make the question too long.
Okay. What in that total awareness that you've spoken about, where there is
Yes,
love,
yes.
etc. In regard to that, what is nature? What is our perception of nature? What does nature become? And what is our place in that?
What is in this total awareness, in which there is love and so on, what is that? What is the relationship between that awareness and nature?
Yes.
All right.
Sir, I have discovered something yesterday, and I would just like to know if you think it is okay.
Make it short, please.
Yeah. I am lonely because I live with motivation. When I drop motivation, I have love. Because you can't have love when you still have motivation. So I won't be lonely anymore when I drop motivation.
Sorry, I haven't got it.
Oh, shall I do it again slowly?
Yes, please make it short.
Yeah. I am lonely because I live with motivation. When I drop motivation, I have love. Because you can't have love when there is still motivation. So I can't be lonely when I drop motivation.
Come on.
You understand?
When I drop motivation, there is love. And what?
Well, I just discovered for myself, if I drop all motivation, I am left with love. So if I have only love, I can't be lonely. And loneliness is having motivation.
I say, well, I think we'll go into that. Right. There have been so many questions. First one was, can one, in this awareness, what is truth? Why does thought have such an extraordinary, deep-rooted importance in our life? And gentleman asked also, I've forgotten. So maybe we take one question out of all this and go into that one question perhaps which will answer all the questions. Can we do that, madam? Can we do that, sir? What, sir?
It's simpler to do it. Put all these 8 questions into one, but they're all different questions.
Signore, così diverse che ritiene molto difficile che corrispondendo ad una si possa rispondere anche a tutte le altre.
Yeah. I think if we can take one question, we will see it. I think the gentleman who asked the first question, which was, what is the relationship to of awareness and truth? I think if we could take that one question, though there are contradictory questions, personal and that which we talked about the other day. So I think if we take this one question, I will see we can get all the others in, however contradictory they are. May we try it? May we, sir? We said, he asked a question which was, what is the relationship between truth and awareness? Would you like to put that question in a different way? What is the relationship of actual facts and truth? Right? Would that be right? I'm asking you, sir.
Yes, that would be right.
What is the relationship of violence, which is an actual fact, to truth? What is the actual relationship to a recognized, well-known fact in oneself as envy, greed, fear, to truth, right? What is truth? We'll come to that. I daren't touch it for the moment. But we can go into this question by being aware what is reality. Fact, right? Facts. What is reality? Truth. Right. What would we call facts? What is? What would you say or describe or talk about what is? Actually what is? Not theoretical, not abstract, not an abstraction or a supposition. When we say fact, what is? What do we mean by those two words? Right? Facts. The fact is that there is war. Right? The fact is that human beings are violent. The fact is there are national divisions, political divisions, religious divisions, ideological divisions. Right? You and me division. The woman and the man division. And the fact is, where there is division, there is conflict. The Jew, the Arab, and so on, so on, so on. The Muslim and the Hindu and so on. So where there is division, there is conflict. That's a fact. That's a law. Right? Now, what is reality then? Is fact different from reality? And is reality different from truth? You understand? Please, this needs a little bit inquiry into this. The question asked also in observation, is there transformation? Moral, if I understood that question rightly. Now we are going to observe together this problem, this question. Fact, what actually is going on, reality, and truth. We said facts are what actually is. Short, tall, broad, brown, white hair, pink, and so on, black, and those are facts. The conclusions from those facts, like and dislike, though they are reality as illusions, right? Reality, no, I must go slowly, I mustn't go quickly. So, let's go through. Fact, what is, reality, and truth. What is the relationship between these three? Is this clear? Let's move with, I know. Don't be impatient, please.
So, is the fact that without word, that which happens
Is a fact without words. I make a gesture that's without word, but it's a fact. I look at you friendly or with antagonism. That's a fact. There is no word. That's one point. What is reality? Let's come to the next. What is reality? The real, actual. Would you say everything that thought has created is reality? Thought has created this tent, right? It's a reality. Thought has created this microphone. It's a reality. Right? Thought has created the various illusions, which is a reality. Because it's created. One lives with it. What? You following? Whatever thought creates is a reality. The building, the technological things that thought has produced technologically, computers, television, and so on, so on. Everything that thought has created is a reality, including the illusions that thought has created. Nationality is an illusion, right? And God is an illusion, thought has created it. Right? But thought has not created nature. The tree, the water, the things that are outside of us. Right? But the chair made out of the wood of a tree is a reality. Please go. Right? Thought has not created nature, but thought making a chair out of a tree is a reality. So thought has not created nature. He asked a question, one of the questions was, what's the relationship of man and nature? Right? So there are these things, facts, which thought has created also. I am, and I am not. I must be, I will be, I have been, or I will evolve slowly, or that there is no evolution at all, psychologically, and so on. The building, the instruments of war, the churches, and the things that are in the churches, all the rituals, all the adorations of images made by the mind or by the hand are still the product of thought. Right? And the illusions surrounding these churches, the gods within, the saviors within, are all created by thought, which are illusions. Right? Is this clear? Are we all together in this? I think it's not very difficult. So, what is the relationship then of reality to truth? Right? Or is there no relationship at all? Does this interest you, all this? You'd like to know what sort of... Sir, would you make it short, sir? We can't hear.
Well, I don't have here a microphone. I did.
What kind of work we should do? That's what kind of work we should be doing? That's the question.
What kind of
work?
What kind of work or action should we be doing? So if we understand what kind of life we are, what we are, from self-knowledge, action takes place. Sir, we have divided action as though it was something totally different from ourselves. Right? I wonder if we are investigating into really what is total action, which we are coming to. What is total action in our daily life? Right? Look, what shall I do? Let me put it this way. What shall I do confronted with all this confusion, misery, suffering, uncertainty? What shall I do? Countries demanding me one thing, society wanting me to do something else, the priest asked me something else. You follow? Amidst all this immense confusion, what is the right action? That's the question he's asking. What is the right action? Is there right action if I am caught in an illusion? Right? I am in some kind of illusion, such as I love my God. That's an illusion. Because God, if you don't mind, I hope you will not think me blasphemous or absurd, God is created by thought. No? I am afraid of the future. There is nobody upon whom I can depend. There is somebody who must protect me, the father figure. And I want to feel consoled by the image which I have created. and I say that's God. Thought has created it. Sorry, I hope you don't mind. Which doesn't mean I'm an atheist, on the contrary. That is not God. Something else is God. So, I'm caught in this illusion that somebody is going to look after me. Some superior entity, an outside agency, a God, a guru, whatever it is, state. Now, in that illusion, which is an illusion, what is right action? Right action can only take place when I have no illusion. Right? When I have no illusion that I'm much more superior than anybody else. So action can only take place when the mind is totally free from all illusion. Right? That's obvious. If I'm neurotic, I can't act rightly. That's obvious. If I'm confused, I can't act rightly. If I'm caught in a particular form of prejudice with its conclusions, I can't act rightly. So there must be freedom from all this to act rightly. In daily life, whether it's politics, religion, my wife, children, everything, as long as there is no illusion of any kind, action, total action is not possible. That's actually what we are examining. Fact, thought, creating the microphone, which is a reality, is not an illusion. The building, the tent is not an illusion. The chair is not an illusion. And nature, the tree, the mountains, the skies, the moon, the everlasting stars and the beauty of stars, that's not created by thought. But thought has created illusions, which are realities. You follow? So, by investigating very carefully, as we are doing now, what is illusion and what is reality? If thought has created the tent, and thought also creates various forms of illusions. So both are realities. But I must recognize, but there must be recognition or perception or awareness or observation that the church is not, the building is not an illusion. But what is contained within the church or in the mosque or in the temple is the illusion created by man. This is all very simple. Once you see this, it becomes extraordinarily clear, right? Are we meeting each other? Are we? So, to find out what truth is, to let it happen, like spring, like a flower, like the waters flowing, let it happen. That can only come about when the mind has put everything in order. Right?
How do you define truth?
Huh?
How do you define the word truth? How do you define?
I don't define truth.
No, but do you have a definition of the word?
Sir, you haven't even listened to what I'm saying first. I'm sorry you're not. When you're asking a question, what is truth? Describe truth. I haven't come to it yet. You're asking something which I'm not even inquiring yet. We are inquiring into facts into reality, right? Reality is, we said, everything that thought has created, including the illusions. But thought has not created the mountain, the rivers, the trees, nature. So what is the what is the relationship of man to nature, which was one of the questions. If man lives within the illusion which he has created, he has no relationship, right? But man, without illusion and seeing what thought has created, and thought has not created nature, and therefore puts thought in its right place, then he has a relationship to nature. I wonder if you get this.
Sir, to give up those illusions is a very painful experience.
What, sir?
To give up those illusions is a very painful experience.
To give up the illusions is a very painful experience.
To give up illusions is a very painful process. We are not giving up anything. There is no sacrifice. There is no, I must give up this in order to get that. But to observe this, please, sir, is very important if you just follow this. To observe what thought has created and what thought has not created. To observe the illusion, to observe, not say it's right or wrong, I must give it up, to see that thought has created illusion as well as the building. The building is necessary, illusions are not necessary. To see that, to observe it, there is no fear, it is a fact. So, when you observe the fact, there is no fear. I wonder if you see it. Wait, have you understood what I said just now?
So far, yes, sir. What I don't see, though, is what does the observing, is thought observing the illusions that it's
No. So we have to discover, that's what I'm going, we have to find out what it is to observe. Right? Train coming. We are now going to inquire together into what does it mean to observe. I can observe you with thought, right? Thought can observe you, saying, yes, he's an Irishman, he's a German, long hair, short hair, like and dislike, right? And being conditioned, I don't like Irishmen, or I love the Irishman, not the Englishman, you follow, and so on. Now, is that observation? It is one form of observation, right? A very limited form of observation. But if I want to observe, there must be no movement of thought, right? I wonder if you see that. I want to observe you. Just look at you. But if I am prejudiced, I can't look. My prejudice is looking. Right? So, is there an observation of my prejudice? Not that I observe my prejudice, because prejudice is the I. I wonder if you see that. So, prejudice, is there an awareness of prejudice? Saying, yes, I am prejudiced. That's an awareness of your prejudice. So, there is an observation without thought, without the movement of thought, with its prejudices, with its like and dislike. In this context, there is another problem, which is, in observation, there is certain sensitivity. Right? If you observe very closely, without any prejudice, the sensory activity becomes much more acute. And therefore there is more sensitivity. Now the question is there, if I may go into it a little bit, when you are sensitive, do you have more pain, more suffering? Go on, so answer it. I'm asking a question, which is, when there is sensitivity, not that you become sensitive. See the difference, please. I said through observation, without prejudice and so on, there is the sharpening of all the senses. Therefore, there is greater sensitivity to smell, to taste, to seeing the trees, the mountains, the rivers, the faces. And being sensitive, acutely. When there is sensitivity, is suffering much greater? Or when I am sensitive, then everything affects me, either pleasurable, greater pleasurable, or greater suffering. I wonder if you see the difference. Right? So we are saying, now to observe the reality. Reality is everything that thought has created, including the various neurotic activities, neurotic behavior, neurotic assumptions, and illusions. Right? Those are all creations of thought. To observe it, not thought observes it. I wonder, are we getting somewhere? Am I meeting you? No. Sir, can you look at this tent without thought? Thought being, naming it as tent, seeing the structure, how the arch, the crossbars, looking without using the word, without thought saying it is a tent, just to observe. Isn't that possible?
Isn't that hypnotism?
Wait, pardon? Huh?
Isn't that a kind of hypnotism? Isn't that a kind of hypnotism?
Oh, for God's sake. Just to observe, so it's not hypnotism. Do you know what that word means? I don't know, either we are talking English or not.
When you observe the tent with thought, are we really observing the tent, or it's our thought that we're observing? Perhaps it's not really the tent.
What, sir?
There is observing or no observing at all. When we observe the tent, the idea, through the thought, we are not observing the tent.
Of course not. when you are observing a word called tent, you're not actually observing the tent. You're only observing the word. I wonder if you see that.
Well, the eyes are functioning, aren't they?
Beg pardon?
The eyes that are seeing
So
are functioning.
look at it, look at yourself.
If it's a thing, you know, it's not a personal thing. The thoughts that you're having is like reading the speedometer of the car when you're driving. It doesn't involve any prejudice. I don't have to.
We are talking about, we are,
But when it concerns human beings,
when I,
between people,
sir, please,
say I have an idea or an impression that you are being prejudiced towards me. Now that is much more complicated than just looking at the tent.
we've said that before.
Relationship, reactions on different levels that are going on all the time. And I'm seeing that is going on in your being as it is going on in my being.
We said it is easy to observe a tent, but it's much more complex to observe another human being. We've been into that very, very carefully in the last, talks and discussions. I won't go into it again. Yes, madam?
Observation without memory is completely different from observation with memory.
So try to let us, this becomes so impossible, each man interprets his own way. Just find out, sir, for yourself, whether you can observe another human being, your wife, let us take, or your husband or your girl, or that man who is speaking. Can you observe that person without any image? Right? That's all. Look, sir, if you're married, or if you're a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you have created an image about him or her, haven't you? Right? That's a fact, isn't it? Fact. The fact which is the product of thought. The image. Right? Oh Lord, come on. Look, I'm married. And I have, or a girl I have. And through various activities, interrelationships, she has created an image about me, and I have created an image about her. Right? This is an absolute fact. So, our relationships are between these two images. These images or pictures or ideas or conclusions are the product of thought. Right? So, can there be a relationship without images? Right? I'm asking.
Would that mean
Please, sir, I just am.
be sensitive to me without being prejudiced?
You haven't understood what I've said.
And that is exactly what you're asking.
No, I'm not.
You are talking about
Gee Willikins.
observing without prejudice.
No, sir, would you listen for.
Asking, are you able to do it? Your fan club doesn't agree. I'm sorry.
So I'm asking, if we have an image about another, that image is created by thought, that image is a reality, created by thought, and relationship then is between two thoughts, two images, two pictures, two ideas, two conclusions. So we are asking, is that a relationship at all? Or is relationship exists only when there is no image? Right? Is that possible? My wife calls me a fool. And that is immediately registered in the brain. The picture is formed, and there is antagonism, or anger, or irritation. She may be telling the truth, or she may not be telling the truth. So, but there is an image formed. Now, is it possible not to have, not to let the machinery of making the images end?
The answer is yes. And because when you observe without thought and without image, then you have the truth. This is what is truth, to observe without image and without thought.
Now, is that a reality, a fact, or a supposition? Which any supposition of what is not is an illusion. I wonder, So,
It seems to me without the thought process there is no perception whatsoever.
try it, sir. I say there is. What shall we do? I happen to be sitting on the platform and you are sitting down there. Therefore, people will listen to me, people won't listen to you. But we are saying, have you tried to look at something without thought?
Looking, it is extinguished then.
To find out, sir, go into it. So what we are saying now is, thought, which is, again, let's repeat, thought, which is experience, knowledge, stored up in the brain as memory, and the response of memory is thought, which is a material process. Material process. So, whatever thought has created is reality. The image between man and woman, the image I have about the tent, the word that creates the meaning, and is there a meaning without the word? So you go into it all. And as nature is not created by thought, then what is the relationship of man who is full of thought, full of his images, his conclusions, his fears? What's the relationship between reality and that which is not created by thought? None at all, obviously. Right? I may talk about nature. I may talk about the beauty of mountains and rivers and all the rest of it. But if one is enclosed within oneself, with one's problems, with one's ideas, with one's conclusions, illusions and all that, there's no relationship at all.
Sir, thought is the product of what?
What's up?
Thought is the product of what? You talk about thought. And I would be interested what is the product of what product thought is, or is it a product of nature? Is it a product of whatsoever? And I think it's an important question.
Are you asking, sir, how does thought arise? Are you asking, how does thought arise? Yes, I'll show it. If I may, if you listen kindly, I'll show it to you. I say to you or to somebody, you are a fool. Now what's your reaction? You have an image about yourself that you're not a fool, and you get annoyed. Right? Right? So, experience of various kinds is registered in the brain, which is knowledge, and that knowledge with its memory is thought. The origin of thought is from the very beginning of time. Right? Every incident, every experience, every pain, physical as biological as well as psychological, is registered in the brain. And that becomes a memory. And from that memory you act. So thought began with the origin of man. When is the origin of man? Scientists say 25 million years, and so on and on and on. If you want to investigate into that, go into it.
Man is part of nature.
Man is part of nature, are you? Biologically you may. But are you part of nature? Go and answer it yourself. That doesn't require gradient. Are you? Nature is all that. The rivers, the trees, the mountains, the birds, the endless seas, and so on. Are you all that? Or are you a Catholic, Protestant, Communist, Socialist? So you are not going forward with this. Now let us ask, we know what thought is. We know what thought has done. Most extraordinary things, right? Technologically, surgically, medicine, extraordinary things. And thought has also created lots of illusions, which we all know, which we don't have to go into. All that is reality. Right? Right? Is that clear? Then what is the relationship of reality to truth? When you ask that question, it means, it signifies that there is a truth. Right? Please listen carefully. We have now very clearly established between ourselves what is reality. Sorrow, pain, insult, neurotic behavior, all that is created by thought. So whatever thought creates is reality. Right? Why doesn't man stay there? Do you understand my question? He's always probing. Right? Since I acknowledge this is fairly clear. But there must be something more. Right? Are you following this, sir? So, thought begins to investigate. Right? Is this clear or not? Thought then, whatever it creates, is a reality. You understand this? One sees very clearly what is reality. Thought says, yes, I'm very clear about that. But thought also says, that's not enough. There must be something much more. So either it projects a God, an eternity, a timeless state, but it's still the product of thought. Right? So it is still reality. I wonder if you see this. Do we see this little bit? May we go on? Right? It is only when thought realizes its own limitation, then it won't investigate into that, if there is or if there is not. This logic, isn't it? Very clear, no? Come on, sirs. We said whatever thought creates is reality. When thought investigates into what it wants, hoping something greater, it is still reality. So it is always moving with its own, in its own limitation, in its own area. It may extend it, it may contract it, it may say, well, I'm the universe. I am the cosmos, I am God, but it's still thought. Right? So thought cannot investigate into that, if there is that. Right?
E dato che è l'unico strumento che abbiamo, che cos'altro farà quell'investigazione?
That's the only instrument we have. Our Italian friends, that's the only instrument we have. But if that instrument says I cannot penetrate into something I don't know, it stops. Wait a minute, sir, see the fact of this. It can create saying, I know there is something, but it's still within the area of thought. I wonder if you see this simple thing. No? So thought, however sharp, however intelligent, however erudite, learned, experienced, it is still thought, a reality. As the building with the microphone, and so on. So thought, being the past, outcome of the past, is limited by time. Right?
You have said that the building is necessary and thus limited yourself. You have said that that which is within the building is illusion, is not necessary.
I did not say that, sir. Look.
The fact is that every building contains something.
I didn't.
And that which the building contains is illusion.
Oh my God.
You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot have the dangers of technology and still say that the technology is necessary.
I said, sir, let's come. See, I don't want to go back to this. We've already explained 10 times. So if you don't mind, sir, I won't go back into it. See what thought does. Thought recognizes itself as a movement in time, right? That is, thought being the outcome of the past knowledge. Knowledge is always the past. So, it is time bound. So it is limited. So it is fragmentary. Now, having been time bound, it says there must be something timeless. Because it wants that state. Because it says this is too limited. Right? Right? So, thought, which is the movement of time, tries to investigate into something which is timeless. Therefore, that's impossible.
E la seconda parte della mia domanda era se questo strumento del pensiero riconosce che non può fare questa indagine, quale sarà l'altro strumento che la potrà fare?
You'll find out.
So I cannot say this is the river. It's only the river here, not.
Lei ha parlato dell'osservazione. È un altro strumento in alternativa al pensiero?
There is. What's good does that make to you? I say, yes, there is. You say, well, nonsense, it might be an illusion.
May I ask you the same question in a different way, please? The capacity of thought, seeing its limitations, the capacity of thought...
So, thought has no place in meditation.
No, the capacity of seeing its limitations, thought seeing its limitations.
Sir, look, sir, as a human being living in this world, there must be some kind of action, mustn't there? Action. To act. Right? I must do, action is life. And I want to find one human being who is fairly intelligent, fairly observing, knows what's happening in the world, and so on, and also knows what is happening. And he says, what is the right action? What am I to do with all this surrounding misery? Right? That's what we are investigating. What am I to do? Not all your theories, speculations. To find out what is the total action, so that I have no regrets, no pain, no saying, my God, I wish I hadn't done that. To find that out, we say, look, you must put everything in its right place. Right? Say, put thought in its right place. Let thought put itself in right place. Which is, thought has its right place, which is not only the world of technology, but also in the world of language, etc., etc., etc. And thought, being the outcome of the past knowledge, is time-bound, therefore very limited. Right? And that's the only instrument we know. Is there another instrument which is not of this quality? But before we put that question, you must find out exactly the limitation of thought. Discover it. Be aware of it, not just put, is there something else? Are you aware totally of the limitation of thought? No, partialmente. Is it partially being pregnant? So, sir, what we are trying to find out is, what is man to do surrounded by this extraordinary confusion, uncertainty, poverty in every direction? What is one to do? You don't ask that question. Don't burn with that question. So we are trying to find out what to do totally. So all action has been based on thought. Either the thought which has said, I have done this, which has brought me pain, I will not do that, but if I do the other thing, it will give me pleasure, I will do that. That has been our action. Our action is based on reward and punishment, obviously. And that's the world we have lived in. And that world has no answer. It can keep on going round and round in that world, saying there is an answer, but will always remain there. That's obvious. So, when there is an understanding of thought, and therefore putting thoughts in its right place, then what is the instrument, if there is an instrument, which is not of thought? Right? But you must put it in right place, not say, let me investigate the other. That's what you are trying to do. Say, I want to find the other before I give this up. I will give this up if that is much more profitable, if that's much more pleasurable. I say, sorry, this thought, whatever it does, is limited. So what is there which is not of thought? If somebody has gone into it sufficiently deeply, you will see, then you'll ask the question, is love thought? Answer. Can thought cultivate love? And when it cultivates love, is it love? A man who is full of vanity cultivates humility. And he says, I'm very humble. It is, that humility is still vanity. Right? So, is love the product of thought? Answer it, sirs. If it is not, that is the action. Right? So, as love is not manufactured by thought, then what is love? Is there such thing at all?
Is energy.
Oh, madame, asseyez-vous, je vous en prie.
But this is a dialogue. I thought you said it is a dialogue.
But not just answer like that, love is energy, that doesn't mean anything.
It means something to me.
All right. Is love thought? No answer. You say it's not, right? Then that may be the new instrument. Huh? Love is the product of? Oh no, I did not. No, sir, I'm afraid we don't understand English either. Perhaps I may not understand English. Which is, I said, our life is based on reward and punishment. Right? And that is the movement of thought. If I do this, I will get that, which will be better. If I don't do this, I may be punished. Punished in the sense, I'll be unhappy, I'll be etc. So we have gone beyond, please. So, is love the new instrument? Huh? No? No. Huh? You see, you are using the word instrument like a screwdriver. We're not talking of, that's why I didn't want to use instrument. That gentleman used that word instrument. I didn't, I just was following it. It's not an instrument. Oh Lord, when we said thought, everything that thought creates is reality. Is love a reality? In the sense we have used that word reality. If it is not, it is something entirely different outside of thought. Right? Right? Have you got it? Or just verbally say, yes, quite right, let's go on with it. So, we said love is not within the realm of thought. It is not sensation, which is the realm of thought. It is not in the realm of thought as pleasure. It is not in the realm of thought as desire. Right? Therefore, love is not a remembrance. Right? Now, have I really, has the brain, your brain, see the fact of this, the reality of it? So as long as there is desire, pleasure, pursuit of pleasure, there is no love. Because all these are the product of thought. When there is love, what is the action? Because we are concerned with that. Then what is the relationship between that which we call truth, which may not be? What is the relationship between something which is temporary? You say, thought is temporary, right? I wonder if you see that. Therefore, it's time-binding. Now, is there something which is not time-binding, which is not temporary, which is not based on reward and so on and so on? We say there is, which is love. Then what is the action in our daily life when there is love? Would you ask that question? You understand, sir, what I'm asking? Would you... Oh, no. No, sir, you're going on. I'm not going to. It's such a waste. I'll go on, sir. What is the action of a man who has understood reality, not mentally, intellectually, but deeply, you follow? He has put reality in its right place. And perhaps he has that perfume of love. What is his action? Would you put such a question? No, please say no. Yeah, for sake, find out. That's a wrong question, isn't it? If there is that thing called love, then it acts without you. Because, please follow this very carefully. In investigating the whole structure and the nature of all reality, and giving it right place, mind has become extraordinarily intelligent. Right? Not the intelligence of cunning, conspiratorial cunning. You follow? It's become extraordinarily sensitive and alive and therefore intelligent. Therefore, that intelligence is not of thought.
Sir, would you allow a very small experiment?
No, just a minute, madam.
May I?
Sorry, I'm in the middle of a sentence.
I know.
I am sorry, I'm not going to listen.
But you said
I am sorry,
sensitivity.
I am in the middle of a sentence, madam.
I know.
Then please, you could politely...
Would you please listen to me? Please. Please.
What were you going to say, madam?
I ask you very kindly, would you?
What were you going to say, madam?
Well, you've tried to make people see the concept of sensitivity as being either true or not, and more or less denied the role of the word or the image. In making this clear, I would like to make one silly attempt at illustrating what you said.
I'm asking a question about what you're saying, madam. Are you French or English?
I was born in Holland a long time ago. I haven't been there.
Which language do you speak easily?
You speak English easily. Can you understand my English? Would you like to try?
Are you expressing easily in English?
Yes.
Then please be brief.
Yes. Sensitivity, concept, without the image and without the use of words, I feel that only through the concept you cannot ask people to see. The word sensitivity would perhaps mean something if I gave you a picture. There is a kind of sensitivity, it's rather like a dustbin, with the lid open and the bottom in. That's one. There's another kind that has the lid open and no bottom.
I don't
Do you see that? I mean, it keeps all that comes in and it holds it in, it relates it to the self, and it hangs on to that. Do you see? And if there is no bottom, then this goes right through.
Right, madam.
It is not an illustration,
All
you
right.
feel.
Right, madam.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Asseyez-vous, Joseph. Asseyez-vous.
I mean, I
Please
think there are
kindly sit
three
down.
elements to make things clear, and that words and images shouldn't be discarded as useless. You cannot only see things with your head.
Please sit down. You have stated what you want to say.
Yes.
So if one has, may point out most respectfully, if one has gone into this, as we have gone very closely, very hesitantly into what is reality, and in seeing what is reality, the mind, there is a sharpening of not only the intellect, not only your sensitivity, out of that comes a quality of intelligence which is not of thought, right? If you have done it, then that intelligence is love. Then action is dictated by that intelligence. Wherever we are, you may become it may say you have become a gardener or this or that. That intelligence is love, and therefore that intelligence acts. Then we can go on much further, if you want to, into it, because is intelligence, this intelligence, not the intelligence of cunning, verbal disputations, dialectical opinions, and so on, so on, so on, but a mind that has put everything in its right place. The building, the illusion, the fear, you follow everything, therefore, the very through observation and putting everything in there is intelligence. We are saying that is the new moment of action. Now, what is the relationship? I better not enter into that. You'll all, that will be theory, won't it? I would like to ask, what is the relationship of intelligence to compassion, to clarity, and skill? You understand? We said skill by itself has no meaning. It has a meaning that makes one more and more selfish, more and more egotistical, and limited. It becomes egotistic, limited, because there is no clarity. And clarity comes with compassion. Right? So, the daily life, in our daily life, everyday life, not some life for a few weeks at Saanen, but when you go back home, every day of your life, can this operate, move? That is compassion, clarity, and skill. Because you must have skill in life. Skill may be with one's hand, skill may be in intellectual skill, skill may be communication, verbal communication, but when that is without the other two, it becomes what we have made it the world into: cunning, deceptive, hypocrisy, using skill to achieve a status. And the moment you have status, you become very proud, privileged, all the rest of it. So where there is compassion, clarity, and skill, there is no vanity, no hypocrisy, no contradiction. You see, I like to go into something much deeper, which is, what is the relationship when there is this total action to meditation, which is the complete emptying of all the content of one's consciousness, which we have talked about, then what is the relationship of that to total silence, emptiness? You understand, sir? See, one is afraid to use the word emptiness because we think emptiness, my God, that's nothing. After all, I've worked and lived and I end up in emptiness. You follow? But when you have put everything in its right place, which is the art of living, right? The art of living is to give everything in its proper place. That's the art of living, which is the greatest skill. And out of that orderly life, one has this intelligence, which is love. And with love goes compassion and clarity and skill. Now, what is the relationship of intelligence to that which is the outcome, a natural outcome without effort, of total emptying of the mind of its content, which is real meditation, you understand? We talked about it sufficiently. What is the relationship of intelligence to silence? You understand? When there is right kind of meditation, silence must be the central issue, not central core of meditation is the total emptying of all the fears and all so on. So the consciousness has, as we know it, is gone, doesn't exist. And what is the relationship of this intelligence to this total silence of emptiness? You understand? No, I will go to you. One can go into it if you have gone that far. You understand? Not verbally, but actually in daily life. Then it's fun to explore. Hello, Riti. Midi. Buonasera.